Why hello there beautiful people and welcome to OTT. We're going to find out which of the Need for Speed games is the best. Now originally you had Need for Speed Underground 1. The original. Now back in the day it was a very good game for its time. Very good game indeed. Graphics were okay. They were okay, yeah. The driving physics were very arcadey. They weren't very advanced at all. The car customization was very good indeed. You had nitrous on there, you had body kits, you had preset vinyls and liveries which you could pick. Also you could have quite simplistic vinyl decals yourself as well. You could put a few simple ones on there. I remember like tears, stripes, all that sort, and you had your unique liveries as well, your unique vinyls. That game was great. It really was. Now some say the first is always the best. I'm not sure if that's 100% true. It was a great game. I played that game over and over, so I'm definitely in that category. Now although Need for Speed Underground was a very popular title, it did have other great competitors out there at the time, too numerous to mention, but it did just enough to win over quite a few fans and get people invested into Need for Speed. Need for Speed Underground was probably one of the best platforms to come out of a series. Just the way they built up from there. I know later along down the line it went a bit everywhere, but as a first version of Underground, truly superb. It'll always live long in my memories as some of the good days, some of the good honest days. The days when you didn't have bungee effects from the AI. How we miss those days. Need for Speed Underground 2, the one that followed Underground, Doi, of course. Now, this game once it blew everyone's mind. It blew my mind. The very first time I played it, I was hooked. It had me. It had me at the word need. I didn't have to say for speed. It had me. I spent way too much time on that game. The car customization is possibly the best out of all games ever. It wasn't the best driving physics, but they were very entertaining, and the way you could customize the cars, from being able to do your ECU map, so doing your torque and your horsepower curve, to just having pure fun with it. All the exhausts were different. Like you put a sports or you put a racing exhaust on, they both sound very different but both superb. Always the case with all cars. The body kits were beautiful. I literally had 3 external memory cards. This is obviously on the PlayStation 2. 3 external memory cards, all full of profiles of this game. I customized every single car. I tuned and tinkered with every single car in the game. I completed it more times than I could ever mention. I spent way too much of my life on that game looking back to it, but every single minute I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And even with the old style steering wheels, it was still fun. Now of course the customization, as you can see, like the hydraulics, the neons, the multiple speakers in the boot, the nitrous purge, just the amount of customization was mind-blowing for the time. And it's left a lot of games that have come out since then looking rather bashful. Now, I'll be honest, this is one game I'm never going to sell. I have 2 copies of it still. I have a PS2 to work with it if I ever did want to really go back to it. It's a game that I think will be ever remembered, and it truly made millions of people fall in love with gaming. Now, anybody that says that's a bad thing, it's truly great. No matter what console you came from, if you ever played Need for Speed Underground 2, you're all part of the same club, the same community of people that shared the passion in this amazing game that we have never seen the likes of before or since. We've seen many games try and reach the success that this game made, and a lot of them have failed. None have truly, really met the mark of this. Got some downs. Actually, the only downside this game ever had was some of the most horsepower you could have was like 580 horsepower. Apart from that, the game was the perfect game. Need for Speed Most Wanted, the original, not the newer remake. Now this game got a lot of, if you weren't already into the franchise after Underground 2, this game certainly sucked you in. For all those people that just spent every single day playing on their console, getting chased by the police, customising their car, and generally having a whale of a time. Now, this game wasn't one of my particular favourites. I do think it was a good game, don't get me wrong. Probably a 9 out of 10 if I had to rate it out of the scale of all the Need for Speed genres. It's really right up there. Now, the new version did try and, I don't know if it ever really tried to emulate it, I think it just kind of used its name, but yeah. The first was always the best as far as the most wanted one goes, that's for sure. Probably a game that you'll never be able to re-encapsulate, even with Need for Speed Rivals, which seem to try to do so. Need for Speed Pro Street. Now, this one splitted opinion across the board. Once released, after really coming off the back of Most Wanted and the Underground series, it was kind of a departure from the illegal street racing scene and a move into the legal world of track racing. A lot of people weren't happy about that. Now, me personally, I bought this on the day of release. I played all day long. I'll come straight back home. Usual routine, you switch your phone off, you know, you make sure no one can get hold of you, and you just play and play and play. I thought it was a fantastic experience. It's a game that I rate highly. I also would like to say that out of all the Need for Speed games I've ever played, Need for Speed Pro Street was definitely the one for the best drifting. If you love drifting, it was really good physics. The way you set up your car was very easy to manage to help make the drift easier, and where all the other ones in the Need for Speed franchise have always seemed to be just not had the complexity to really give a good drifting experience. But Pro Street was definitely a fulfilling game. Don't even get me started on wheeling down the drag strip for 1300 feet or whatever it was. Yeah, truly a fantastic game. Even though some people weren't happy with it for not being a more nighttime illegal street racing sort of aimed game, but you've got to really say fair play to them. I mean, just because it's not the exact same what we liked before, it was still a bloody good game. I put a lot of hours into it, and I can still remember just how many hours I did drifting, just because, yeah, what a game. Pro Street, if you've never played it, just like all the others in this list, please do check it out. Need for Speed Shift 2 Unleashed. Now, this is obviously the second in the row of Shift games, obviously from the first one. The first one splitted opinion, and this was come off the back of that. Now, this is a game that's had a rather unfortunate life. It's sort of spent most of its life in the shadows of other games, other driving titles. Now, it does have a few flaws, like most games do, but the overall thrill per minute is just so high that you cannot ignore this game. People still like to bury their head today, and maybe because they regret never actually picking this game up and giving it a go. Now, seriously, if you're looking to fill your time between now and the release of games like Project Cars in March, then if you can pick this up cheap, get it, and maybe get the DLC for it as well. Definitely recommend the Legend DLC. The Speed Hunter pack is good, but it depends what you're into. But apart from that, the physics are amazing. They're not proper simulator physics, they're not arcadey, they're somewhere in between. They are really on-edge driving physics. The sounds are amazing. The car customization is the best since Need for Speed Underground 2. That is such a high compliment. Yes, the livery, the vinyl application method is very awkward and it's very poor, and I wish they picked a different system, which was a lot easier to do. I even remember, I think it was Pro Street that had a better system than that just before this. So that was a shame. There is a few downsides to it, but overall it's nearly a spotless game. If you just want a game to jump in a car, go for a spin, have a bit of fun, Shift 2's really going to be up your alley. But if you're into more stiff simulator games where you don't like fun, you don't like to smile, then maybe this isn't for you. But like I said, it's probably one you should play with in your lifetime. It really is. If you're into driving games, it's certainly an experience you'll never forget. I mean, I've had some experiences online on this game that I will definitely never forget. It's just, such a great game. Always The only real problem with Shift 2 is I think it's just actually being able to play it for a long amount of time. That was the problem with it. It was a bit too loud and it was a bit too much in your face. But apart from that, truly a great game. And some people that I speak to still rate it as their favourite. And I think I would almost agree with them. So, the winner is, yes, Need for Speed Underground 2. There could only be one winner. Now, I will be honest, for me personally, coming to this decision, it was very close between Shift 2 Unleashed and Underground 2. But Underground 2 is such a great game that we have not seen the likes of before or since its release into so many millions of gamers' happy faces and arms to just embrace Underground 2. Everyone I speak to that has ever played the Need for Speed series always says the same thing, and I agree with it completely. The only game we ever want is Underground 2, but an up-to-date version for our current console power. That is all we would like. And I'll keep saying this till we get it. Need for Speed, make us a new Underground 2 with more cars, better graphics, even more customization if that's even possible. And we will truly be in heaven forever. If you have a personal favourite from the Need for Speed series, I do apologise if I've missed any out, but I would really love to hear, what was your favourite from the Need for Speed series? Please leave it in the comment section below. And we'll see, out of you guys, which was the best Need for Speed. But for now, love you guys as always. I will see you in the next video. For now, goodbye.